And we're live.
And we're live. All right. So I'm here with DJ. Let's see. Da 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 da. Public. Okay, so um
This is so
let's just make
cool.
sure that we're everywhere we need to be, Deej, and then we'll jump in, okay?
Okay.
I gotta check our sources because I'm like really bad at making sure that we are where we're supposed to be. All right, so we are in, let's see, are we in our group?
Oh no.
I don't know either. Hold on. Purpose.
I got the countdown thing. I don't know what that meant.
Yeah, no, that was good. That means that it exists. I'm just trying to make sure that we're everywhere that I want us to be. Um, yep, we're here. We're live. Okay, so all right, cool. We can start.
Mm,
We're good.
mm, mm.
All right, so me and DJ here. I'm so excited because he is in Atlanta and has agreed to come down and speak to us. Um, a little bit about DJ. I'm gonna like give a little bit of his backstory, and then I'm gonna just kind of like shut up and let him talk because he's really good at it. So, I
What?
met DJ. Yikes, when did I meet you? 4 years ago, maybe.
Yeah.
Um, and I'll be honest, when I met DJ, I didn't like him at all. Like he would always just like say these like little things, and they would piss me off. And but over the years, I've really grown to like love and respect DJ, and we had a blast with him over the weekend. He came down and we did a little thing, and I won't go too much into that because I don't know if he's like ready to like share what he's doing, but DJ's doing some pretty big stuff right now, and I'm incredibly excited for him. So if you're here, if you can just drop a comment and say hi, drop a like, whatever, just so that we know that you're here and that you're listening. We really want to make these interactive. And so, what we're going to ask you to do, probably halfway till towards the live, and with you, or if there's any questions that you have, like please feel free to like just drop a comment in the comment box. We can read them. And DJ has agreed to answer any of your questions. So, with that, DJ, can you tell us kind of a little bit about yourself and what led you to recovery?
Um, my name is DJ. I'm a person in long-term recovery, and what that means for me is that it's been 4 years since I've used any mind-altering drugs that changed the way I feel. I began this journey about 4 years ago, and I think what led me down this road is it was one night. It was like 3 in the morning, and my mom was asleep, knocked out. I was in the driveway, and something told my mom to get up at 3 in the morning, go to my room, and look out the window. So she did that, and when she looked out the window, she saw her son in the driveway smoking something off of aluminum foil, and she knew it wasn't weed. And I came inside, and I didn't look like somebody that had just smoked weed. And she asked me what I was doing. My mom is my rock, my everything. We're super close. And for some reason, I decided to get honest with her and told her that I was doing heroin along with everything else. She cried, I cried, and that was the beginning of it. That was me getting honest, but I would say 2 or 3 weeks later, I still kept on doing it. It didn't stop. And that just, for me, that shows that even my loved ones, people I'm super close to, even they couldn't, be the reason that I stopped. I had to stop for me. But at the time, also, my father, super heavy drinker, he had cirrhosis of the liver, and he was like on his deathbed, and he had to get a liver. transplant. That's another crazy story. But you
Mm-hmm.
know, I would go up to the hospital and I would be there. I was supposed to be babysitting,
Mm-hmm.
not babysitting, but taking care of him. And we had family members coming in from Chicago to visit him and check on him. And instead of being there for that, I took it upon myself to be selfish and, act like I was hungry, ask different family members I haven't seen in forever for money. They gave it to me. And then I let them take care of dad. I pieced out, kind of just snuck out the room, and
Mm-hmm.
I would shoot down the road and get my dope and go to the house and just be high. So um, I guess we had an intervention, me, my mom, grandma, auntie, and they gave me the option to go to rehab, and that's how I started. That
Okay,
was
so it really took your whole family then kind of getting involved for you to take the first leap. Um,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
DJ, you are what we call a white chip wonder, right? Um, and I'm sure people tease you about that, and I'm not going to, but uh, can you tell us kind of what that means to you? Like, is it surprising to you that you got it on the first try? And why do you think that you did?
uh, I feel like I didn't get it on the first try. I got it in the rooms on the first try. I would say that, but I definitely tried my own, I tried my own ways, like only doing it on the weekends, or maybe I'll just work out and eat healthy. I really thought like I was that delusional. I was eating salads every day just to justify me doing heroin at nighttime. Like in my head, I was taking care of myself.
Okay, that's hilarious. I mean,
I
I
had
get
good
it.
job. Yeah, for real. I had good job opportunities, so I thought that would solve it, and it
Hmm.
did for a second, as in a few days. Um, what else? Doing it for family didn't work,
Hmm.
but I tried all these different ways, and I guess to people that are in the 12-step program, like as far as picking up that white chip, I did that one time, but I definitely tried many different ways on my own. But yeah, I don't know why. It just took what it took.
Awesome. And I love that insight. And that's, it's something honestly I've never thought about is it's like white chip wonder. Yeah, okay, that applies to like one aspect of recovery, right? But like that doesn't mean that you
Yeah,
hadn't tried and failed before, right?
right.
Like you were eating salads, like obviously you should have gotten recovery, right? So uh I'm gonna like use that for the rest of my life. That's brilliant. So okay. So you treatment. Talk to me a little bit about that because I know, and you can go. I really do want you to go into this a little bit more as we get in. You're a CARES, right, as well as a CPS, and but your experience in treatment. What did that look like? Where did you go? And then what did your like early recovery journey look like? I know you went to a halfway house, so if you could tell us a little bit about what that was like.
um, I went to treatment in South Georgia. It was called. Are we doing names? Are we dropping names? Or I just went to treatment in South Georgia.
You went treatment, whatever you want to do. It doesn't matter either way.
So yeah, I went to this treatment center, and it was as far as African Americans, it was me and one other guy, which wasn't. I mean, yeah, it wasn't too bad.
Was it
I
what you
did.
expected?
N- no, it wasn't. For some reason, I felt like I didn't belong there. Like just chilling with people and hearing their stories, I just felt like maybe there was a little bit more that I needed to do to end up here. And I can even remember having conversations with my mom, and we seeing people walk by, and she's like, You don't look like them."
Hmm.
And you know, addiction takes many forms. I definitely needed to be there for sure. Um,
Well, the salads weren't working, so
it's funny because I actually got a Zaxby salad on the way there, and the treatment center took it from me and threw it away.
oh
So
man.
I started off with a resentment.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. Okay, so how
I,
long was that program?
it was 38 days. I was there 38 days on the dot. Then they asked me, they suggested I go to long term treatment because my plan was to go back home and just smoke weed, which I have tried. Marijuana maintenance does not work for me. Doesn't work for me. Might work for somebody else. Doesn't work for me.
Okay. And why
But
is that? Why doesn't it work for you?
for me, I feel like, well, the reason it never worked for me is because I would do it and eventually I would need more. It just, I would need something more than that. It just didn't do the job for me.
Yeah, I totally get
Um,
that. Me and you, Deej, I mean, we've talked, we have very similar personalities, right? Like we're like all or
yeah,
nothing kind of people. So
for real.
I get it.
So long term was next.
Uh-huh.
And I honestly went to long term treatment for my mom. Like she was already going through a lot with my pops. I really just wanted to give her a break, honestly. And then they said there was beaches there and stuff. So I was like, I'll go to long term. And I ended
Okay.
up in Brunswick, Georgia, aka halfway house, long term treatment, halfway house, same thing for people that don't know. But yeah, ended up at a halfway house in Brunswick.
Okay. So Brunswick, Georgia, right? That's where I'm at too. We love
South
Brunswick,
Georgia.
South Georgia. And South Georgia from Atlanta, right? So that's a big
Yeah,
change.
yeah, big culture shock. Big culture shock. And when I got there, I was the only black guy there too. So it's a little bit uncomfortable. I already had thoughts in my head about stuff I've heard about South Georgia. You know what I'm saying? But honestly, if I'm
Mhm.
being completely honest, in the halfway house, I did not experience, I don't think I really experienced any racism in the halfway house,
Hell yeah.
right? And
Well, you all had the same goal, right? To get better.
that's the point. Like
Yeah.
we all had that common denominator of trying to just recover. Wasn't really there to be friends, nothing like that, but we all had that thing in common. So as far as in the halfway house, I didn't experience that. And I think that's the beautiful thing about addiction in itself. And fun fact, there was actually a guy who went through there who in prison, he was what is it called? He was part of the Aryan Brotherhood, or the
I
races,
remember that. Yeah. Hmm.
and he came through, and bro, we had that thing in common, and we were fine. I thought it was going to be an issue. Like I came in defensive with him, but we had deep talks, and he had reasons to why he got a part of that. It was more security. So it's crazy how that addiction brought us together. It was awesome.
So it was almost like this pain, right? Like y'all all had this addiction and y'all were able to kind of like take that and bond with it. Is that kind of what I'm
Yeah,
like it brought like separatism together because it was like, okay, like yeah, these things are us, right? But like we have this pain that we're trying to fix and like how do we like go through this together?
exactly. It's deeper than race too. You might have a lawyer as a roommate, and you a dope boy. Like
Yeah.
whatever way of life you came from, we all in this house together. It's more than race. Just like people who normally wouldn't get a.
Because of because of that pain, I made these relationships that I never would have been able to form otherwise. And I think that's
Yeah,
really powerful.
yeah, for
You
sure.
said it in a way I don't think I ever could have said it. You always like kind of have a way with like your words. But yeah, that's amazing.
Hmm.
So I heard you say, and I want you to kind of touch on this, is that y'all weren't there to be friends. And that's true. But do you have friends from there today and what those relationships look like?
Yeah, I do. I definitely do have brothers that I left with. And honestly, the people that I'm still close to,
Hmm.
surprisingly enough, they are true friends, Ashley. Like in the halfway house, these are people, your boyfriend included, these are people I did not like. Like we butted heads, but they were the only people that held me accountable. And
Yeah.
the people I held accountable, like we cursed out, damn near got kicked out fighting. Those are the people I'm cool with.
Yeah.
The
That's
people that call me out on my crap. The people I could call today and talk to, and I know they're not just gonna give me a bullcrap answer and tell me what I want to hear. Those are my friends today, not the people that just agree with me on everything.
I think that's beautiful, and I think as recovering alcoholics, recovering drug addicts, that's definitely something we need. So when you left, so you went. How long was the halfway house?
It was 6 months. It was 6 months program. They recommend a year. They suggest 18 months.
So they so they really trapped you there.
Yeah, yeah.
So like you went to 28 days worth of treatment that turned into 6 months that turned into 18, right?
I stayed there 22 months, but
They
they
couldn't get
they
rid of you.
right, something like that. Became a house manager, just, a lot of blessings happened.
Okay.
And like for that halfway house specifically, there's like an 85% success rate if you stay over 18 months. So,
And why do you think that is?
um, there's something about that as well. 18 months actually doing the thing, not 18 months just being somebody who lives there, actually putting in work and doing a program. But um, I think it's because for me, that whole 1 year syndrome thing, like after getting that year, it's like, okay, I'm done. I no longer need to put in that work I did the first year. I'm good. I could start, living
Hmm.
again. And I experienced that little funk where I wasn't teachable. I just knew everything. I started falling off. And the fact that I was in the house during that time after that 12 months, I think it humbled me.
So
Yeah.
okay. I can respect that. My year, I mean, I went through the same thing and I had gotten out of the halfway house right out of year. And I definitely went like sideways, right? And luckily I had put in the work to build a community and so they saw that and they were like, Ash, like bring it back in. Like this is too much.
Yeah.
Um So what I heard in that was like two parts, right? So one, it's committing to the change because saying, yeah, I'm going to live in this halfway house for 18 months with a bunch of dudes when I am making money and I could get my own place and do my own thing and have a girlfriend and all this other stuff that we think we want, right?
Hmm.
Like that's committing to change. And then two, being open-minded enough to really form community.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
And it's just that time after that year, having that accountability still, it showed me, hey, you don't got this. You still gotta, you still gotta work. It's not over.
Okay. And so you don't got this. So do you fall into the recovering or recovered mindset?
Um, uh,
I
that's a
know
tough question. I would say recovering for a person like me that's got a super ego and arrogant. I gotta tell myself recovering, not recovered.
Okay. And what does recovering mean to you?
Um, that daily reprieve that they talk about, and basically what a reprieve is a postponement for a punishment. So I know that if I'm not putting in work on a daily basis, um, I could easily fall off. And punishment doesn't have to mean relapse. It could just mean loss of a job because I still have all these defects even in recovery. So just working on myself
So
daily.
making a commitment for growth.
Yes,
Okay.
building that character, being a different person. Not a different person in that way, but spiritually growing, making better choices more consistently instead of cursing somebody out every day. I might only curse somebody out every 3 weeks, and that's a big deal for me. Like it's funny, but that's
That's
growth for
true.
me. That's growth.
I get it. I get it. And I'll be honest with you, Jay. We share a lot of the same kind of mindsets and both of us work in the field, right? On top of being recovering alcoholics and addicts. But um that growth piece is so fundamental. And I definitely have watched you grow, like really grow. Like the DJ I know today is absolutely not the DJ that I met. So
So,
can you tell the difference? Like when you look in the mirror and you look at yourself and you're staring at DJ, are you like, yes, like I have definitely grown? Or like, do you still question that?
um, I still question it. I'm super hard on myself, and people have to tell me that I've been changing. I can't. I can't really notice it myself. People definitely have to tell me. But yeah, I do notice that I hold my tongue more, and I'm more aware. The biggest thing is that 9 times out of 10, if I'm wrong, I can admit that. Whereas before,
Yeah.
I speak victimese real good, or I'm blaming somebody else. But I can usually be like, yo, I'm wrong. Me and my dad never got along, but now we're good. And when he called me out on something, I could be like, hey, I was wrong. And guess what? We don't argue because I was wrong. There's no need to make up an excuse or shit just work. I mean, stuff just works out better when you
Mhm.
admit your wrongs. For me.
Absolutely. So, admitting your wrongs, right? I think a lot of that has to do with getting honest, right? So you got out of the halfway house and you made some like pretty major life changes. You were working, if I remember correctly, moving boxes, right?
I went against the grain, and people told me that I should probably move out with somebody, and I didn't. I moved out by myself,
Mm-hmm.
and which means that DJ has to hold DJ accountable without anybody being there, and he, you know,
Mm-hmm.
which was hard. Um, Also, a job change. It's a funny thing about this recovery thing, you get a lot of blessings, and I get stressed out about all these blessings, even though they're all good things. But I ended up getting a security job at this crisis stabilization unit, and that was an eye opener, and I it was humbling, and I feel like it was spiritual, like a burning bush moment, because during that time, you know, that forgetter was clicking, and I wasn't really going to meetings. I wasn't doing a whole lot of self-care, but seeing people come in, like defeated and wanting to change, and just, you know, they're beginning their recovery journey, that brought a lot of gratitude to my life. So um it was a big eye-opening experience. I forgot about that. I just remember, you know, all the good times like we do. So I forgot about what it was like at the beginning.
Okay, yeah, you had just gotten that sick new ride, right? And
Oh,
yeah,
mm-hmm.
the what was it? Gold? It's a gold Camry or something. It's terrible.
It's a gold Hyundai Elantra. It's actually desert bronze.
Desert bronze. Okay.
It's desert bronze. Desert bronze.
We
Yeah.
could like do an entire live on like why you chose that car, but we'll skip it. So you move out of the halfway house, you're on your own, you're having to call people, right, to hold yourself accountable. And I really want to jump into now, if you could tell the audience what your certifications are in and what led you down the path of like actually getting into the field.
Okay, so I'm a certified peer specialist mental health, and I'm also a certified peer specialist addiction, and I'm a certified addiction recovery empowerment specialist, which is CARES. That started off with me being able to de-escalate situations as a security guard, whatever they wanted to call that. But I was able to like talk to people without putting my hands on them, and other CPSs in the back noticed that, and
And
they
where was this? You were working, what kind of environment was it that you were working in?
a crisis unit
Okay.
where people they get 10, 13, they don't even want to be there, and they're just blowing up, or they want certain meds that we don't have,
Hmm.
and they just blow up, or they, whatever the case may be.
So people
And
in like their darkest moments.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, for sure. And they would call us to, de-escalate the situation. And I would just talk to them because I could relate. And you know, that saved me a lot from me having to put my hands on people, which I don't want to do anyway. I'll be
Right.
chilling, Ashley. I'll be chilling.
We'll always be
So
chilling.
the peer specialists, they they encouraged me to apply for the CPS mental health, which was the first one.
Okay. And what when you applied for that certification, did you know what you were getting into? Are you glad that you got it?
I did not know what I was getting into. I'm definitely glad I got it, but at first I I I failed the application. Like
Mhm.
I got to the oral interview and I failed it, and I called for feedback, and they were like, you just talked a little bit too much about your pathway. Like I just talked too much 12-step language, and they didn't like
Okay.
that, which opened my mind up to, okay, not everybody gets into recovery like DJ does. So
It's
I had to check
powerful.
myself. And I don't like failing. So got back up, applied for it again, and got it. Met a lady there that encouraged me to apply for CARES, and I did that as well, and got that. I got that the first time. So
Okay. And so you talked a little bit about being more open-minded, and I'll tell you that's a journey I'm going through myself right now as someone who got sober in a 12-step program, and I love that. Like that's my foundation. But just staying open-minded to the fact that there are so many different avenues of recovery, right? And like my job as a person who's in recovery is just to be there to support and love. Um, how has your opinion on all of that changed since you went and you got those certifications and you've been kind of in the thick of it, right? In a crisis unit.
um how has it changed? I noticed that not everybody likes 12 step. Like a lot of people have tried it and it's something that doesn't necessarily work for them, and I had to be open-minded to helping other people. And then going to this CARES training that we had to go through for a week, I'm surrounded by people who have different ways. You got people who have the holistic approach. They just meditate. I met this guy, he just works out. That's his pathway of recovery. He works out. There was this lady, she's just geared towards her family. Like that's her pathway. She just became more responsible and just family oriented. Um, you
And you
got
could
people
accept that when you were there. You weren't blinded.
not, yeah, because I had that first CPS mental health, I had that academy. So after that, I had already been open. So when I heard
Okay.
all of that, it was just, I actually saw people who did stuff other than 12 step. Like I actually saw it when I went to CARES, and it was
Okay.
cool. And people, medicated assisted treatment, that's a
Yeah,
relapse. And how I got in recovery, 12 step, that's a relapse. But
absolutely.
some people need medication and they're
Yeah.
perfectly fine.
So I agree, and I think this is I'll tell you my view on recovery is that the truth is drugs are harder, right? And they kill people quicker. So, do I think that abstinence is probably the best way to like really find joy? For me, absolutely it is. But do I want people to be able to do whatever it is possible to be able to not use drugs that are going to kill them? Yes, because every little step along the way is going to get somebody closer to finding their purpose, right? And the way I find my purpose is going to be different than the way you do. 12 steps, working out, I mean anything. None of that matters. It's like giving people a chance to say, okay, this will work for me, and just being completely non-judgmental while they're going through it. And that was something I had to learn. It was not something that came natural. And I'm hearing you kind of say the same thing, which is cool because DJ used to be like, this is how you do it.
Yeah, for
Like
sure.
this is how you do it. And it's kind of, and me and you talked about this over the weekend. Um, it's kind of like, like if I were to come to you and you were a personal trainer and I was like, hey, I'm trying to lose weight.
Hmm.
And so you're a personal trainer and you have one prescription, right? So your prescription is what you give to every single one of your clients, no matter who they are, no matter what their goals are, right? So
Right.
I'm trying to lose weight, DJ, and you say, okay, well, here's this program that I teach everyone, and that program is meant for a bodybuilder. It doesn't matter how perfectly I follow that program or how awesome it is and how perfectly it would work for a bodybuilder. It will never help me lose weight,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
And
It just all depends on that person.
absolutely. Very cool. So, I have like so many questions to ask you. This has been a really, really good interview. Uh,
Let's go.
so obviously, we can't name any names, we can't say anything specific, but was whenever when you were working in the crisis unit, because you're like me, right? We kind of have those both parts. Like we are in recovery, but we also have worked in the field.
Hmm.
Was there a moment in your recovery that really changed things, like working in the field that really changed things for you?
A moment in the field that I had
That
that
really like
changed things.
made what we do, what made recovery like feel more meaningful?
Absolutely. Um, so, you know, you hear all the times in the meetings that I go to about losing people, right?
Mm-hmm,
And
absolutely.
I think I had almost 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I remember, I haven't lost anybody, you know. So to me, it's like this. It's not gonna happen. Like it's already been almost 4 years. I'm not losing anybody. Like I hadn't felt it yet. And I remember a friend came in to where I worked, and he was defeated, and we had great talks. And he said he was gonna do this thing, and he had a plan and stuff like that. And he left, and he that was the last time I saw him. I got a call from his mom um, outside of work because we were already close. I knew him outside of rehab, and he he had overdosed in his room. His mom found him in his room cold, and like I cried like that whole night. I had to take a mental health day the next day, but that was big for me because that was the first time I lost somebody that I actually knew. That was my roommate in a halfway house. So that one hit home, and yeah, I don't know, that was a big moment in my recovery because it felt real.
Yeah.
It don't feel real till it happened to you, and it happened to me in front of my eyes. And yeah, that was probably a real moment in my recovery.
What were the feelings associated with that? I know I've had a similar experience, it took me a long time to like come to terms with it and really figure out how where it felt and where it sat with me. But what were the emotions that you went through with that?
A lot of guilt, like what could I have done? And me working at a treatment center, and we know treatment centers, they're cookie cutter,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of them push 12 step on you. And maybe my friend didn't want 12 step. Maybe that was never for him. He was big into music. Maybe music would have, I don't know what it was that would have did it for him, but it's like maybe he didn't get that choice. Maybe he didn't get his fair shot. Maybe he was just doing what everybody else wanted him to do. And it's just a little bit of guilt. I feel like I could have talked more, even though I know it's not my fault, but you
Or
know,
listen more, maybe, right?
yeah,
I know
yeah,
that's one of the things that was hard for me when I was working in the field because I think I have the answers, right? Like I've gotten sober, I've done all this stuff, and so I know how to tell you how to do it because I've done it.
yeah.
And
I
so
think
because
that's
I know how
natural.
to tell you how to do it, I forget to take a step back and just listen to what you actually want. Because maybe what you're saying to me is like, I'm not ready to get sober yet, but I want to stay safe, you
Yeah,
know?
that's
And
it.
so how do I help you do that?
Yep.
Okay. That's huge. I appreciate you sharing that. That's some heavy stuff. Um,
Yeah.
so I know you moved to Atlanta and I hate
Mm,
that because we miss you like crazy. It was really cool being able to see you over the weekend. Um,
miss y'all too.
so do you have any, I'm sure there's plenty of people on this feed right now that are going to love this question. Do you have any plans like to come back?
Yeah, I'm coming back. That's the goal.
So from Atlanta, South Georgia's your home,
We're
man.
actually you were actually one of my guests, and I appreciate you. But a guest that's for my my new YouTube channel, D Ellie Recovery, and that'll be dropping in a couple months. I'm not gonna put a date on it, but it's coming soon, and you know, most of my network of recovery is down there, and I would like to be close to that. And I'm in the middle of a real estate course. I'm just trying to work on passive income to where a DJ could do what he want to do. And it'd be cool to just focus on this channel and move wherever I want to move without having to clock in and out. That's the
And
goal.
so, well, yeah, me and Nate get that. You know, we're on our way to Costa Rica, but um,
Hey,
hey, but that's the cool thing about recovery, right? It's like you get sober and or you figure out who you are and what you care about, and then like the entire world is open to you, right? So you're not like trapped by like addiction and what other people want you to do. It truly is like, okay, like if I don't like this, I can change it. And like that's
yeah,
powerful. It's
yeah.
really powerful. So, do you want to just kind of like, and I don't know how much you want to share because I know that you're kind of keeping it under the wraps. I'm super excited. I got the pleasure to see what DJ is actually doing, and it's brilliant, y'all. Like, it is just going to be like, I'm so excited for what he has coming. Like, it's just going to be so neat. It's like such a cool concept. But how much? I mean, however much you're willing to share, like, tell people like what this is going to be about and why you're doing it.
So DLE recovery, we focus on people like who want to understand recovery, those who are in recovery, those who aren't, and just everybody who may be involved, including family and friends, everybody. And we try to touch on all demographics as well through interviews. And then I'm working on different segments, but right now I got my interviews, which Ashley was on, and then I also have coping skills, and
Yeah.
I call them coping vibes. That's my take on meditation, a whole bunch of them, but it's going to be videos directed towards a specific coping skill, which can be used to deal with a trigger. And
So you're making recovery cool.
that's another part of it. I feel like people take recovery too serious sometimes, and that can cause a burnout, in my opinion. Like, you got to have a balance. So I try to, put a little cool twist on it, and just relax. It don't gotta all be so serious.
Dress it up in juice.
Dress it up in juice. Gotta
Dress it
have
up,
a juice.
eating a salad.
Eating a salad, dressing up in juice. That's it. But I want recovery to be fun, because it is. It's
Hmm.
fun.
So, right. So it's all, I mean, what I'm hearing you say is that like, and for people like us who went to like the darkest parts of like all humanity, and meeting your friend was cool, and hearing his perspective, just not knowing, but how
Yeah.
dark things were, right? And then it's like we get this truly like this second chance at life. So I'm going to ask you the $1 million question. Why do you think some people get sober and the majority of people do not? And by sober, I mean get off a drug of choice and have serious behavioral changes. And most people do not.
Mm, it's a good question. That's a loaded question, but if I were to
Mhm.
pinpoint it, I would say they don't consider themselves an alcoholic or addict. Simple as that. Some people just think they use heavily, and I think by giving yourself that title, that's like the first step in surrendering. And I think a lot of people don't put themselves in that category to where they would have to put in that work and become, this different person or go down that spiritual journey. So it's all what you consider yourself. Because I can call my dad an alcoholic, but at the end of the day, he got to call himself one. And maybe he just a heavy drinker. He doing fine. He downstairs right now. So even though I might think he have issues, I don't know what his issues are. So I think you gotta classify yourself as having that issue and needing to take those steps. That's my that's my take. What do you think?
I have lots of things. So I think foundationally, what I believe is that people don't change unless they believe it's possible. So I think there's two components of change. One, you have to believe that it's possible, and then two, you have to believe it's possible for you and that your life will be better if you do it. And I think that people get to a point where they believe it's possible for others, kind of like what you were talking about, going to the halfway house, being black, being different than everyone else, and kind of comparing yourself out. It's like, okay, yeah, this works for you idiots, but like it's not it it may not work for me, right? So like getting to that second part where you go, okay, it works for y'all and it could also work for me and I could be happy. I think once that clicks is when people get better. And I think that those two pieces, I think that's why us having these recovery conversations is so important, because the second part, I believe it'll work for me and make me happy. You have to have so many different ways, so many different pathways to recovery for someone to get the second part. Right, because it's easy to
Yeah.
sit and say, okay, that person, that person, that person, that person is sober, right? Like I can look at you and say, okay, DJ's sober, right? And he's happy. He's about to have a YouTube channel drop. What's up? Ashley's happy. She's got whatever. She's da 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 da. But to say the second part, I believe that'll work for me, and I'll be happy because a lot of people are probably sitting back and looking at my life and going, God, I don't want that. Like I don't want to be sitting on Facebook Live, like being overly happy and like talking about all this crap. Like that's not for me, right? And my belief is we have to give people the option, that second piece, so they can go, okay, yeah, that might work for me, and I might be happy.
Yeah, give them those choices
Mm-hmm.
instead of those cookie cutter discharge plans that we kind of talked about. But so they don't feel like they're trapped and that they have to do this way or it's not going to work. So I agree with you.
Yeah, and a big reason why, DJ, that I'm doing this is I have been so like narrow focused. Like this is the only way to do things. And I had kind of a similar experience that you did at working in the field where like I saw something and I just was like, oh my gosh, like this doesn't feel right to me. Um, and maybe if we had given that person a different choice, maybe if we had led them, maybe things would be different. And so I've
Yeah.
really made it my mission to like understand other people. And I don't doesn't mean I agree with other people all the time, but like I really want to understand them. And I think
I'm
that's
right
what
there
you're
with
doing.
you. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Talking about those different
And I think
pathways,
that's huge.
everything. Yep.
Cool. So I think we're getting to the point. I've asked you everything that I really want to cover. You've touched on a lot of really cool stuff. I think what I would like to do is I'd like to open it up to the people watching the Facebook Live. So if you are on here, and it takes a while for this to like time out, but if you're on here, please send us a message. Ask DJ anything. Like we really want these to be interactive. If you have questions about how long he's been sober, if you have questions about like what he does daily to get sober, anything that you're thinking about and you're like, oh, how did he do this? Like please ask. And we're gonna stare at you until you do.
How can you tell? They all just say Facebook user. I want to know who these people are because they saying my name, but I don't know if I know them or not.
I can tell you who it is. So we got geez Louise, we got a lot of people on here. You're a popular man, DJ.
Is Megan here?
No, she's at work.
Ah, my homie.
How do I become as cool as you? That's our first question.
I already know who that has to be somebody I went through the house with.
It's not. I'm not even going to tell you who it is until after you answer it. How about that? That'll be fun.
How do I become as cool as you? You know, I don't I don't think I'm that cool, you know what I'm saying? I just don't. I don't think I'm that cool. And what y'all see right now is, I guess you could say, it's confidence and just self-esteem that I've got because of recovery, because I was a person who lied about everything, a chameleon, and every little group I wanted to be a part of, I just blended in and took on a whole different person. And now I'm finally comfortable being myself. Like this dude that like to watch anime, chill out. I don't gotta pretend to be a thug. Like all of this stuff, I don't gotta be that no more. So I guess just being transparent is making me cool. I don't know.
Okay. I definitely think you're cool. So it was, you get three guesses to guess who said it. And then I'm going to tell you.
Nate,
Uh-uh.
Tara,
Mm-mm.
Nate, Tara, Tyler.
Mm-mm.
Who?
Coming live from Jason Parsons.
Congratulations, bro, on your kid, man. Congratulations.
Yeah, that's some cool stuff, isn't it? Really cool stuff.
Because of recovery. Because of recovery. Shout out to Jason.
Absolutely. All right, so we've got room for 2 more questions. And then we're going to call it a night, and you won't get any more of DJ until he moves back or drops his YouTube channel or decides to come here for a weekend.
Yeah, I'm gonna come back down soon.
Yeah.
Hey, you welcome, man. Love you too.
It's weird.
He,
Oh, you got, and I miss you,
he had a beautiful wedding, man, on Driftwood
Jason.
Beach. Yeah.
Yeah, I was in it.
Yeah, you were in it.
Yeah, I was in it. I was there.
You were.
I watched the whole thing from the
Yeah,
thing.
you was there.
Yeah, it was I was talking to Taylor about that the other day, and it was just so cool to see them come together and like just how, because I'm still so selfish. Like no matter how hard
The
I
food
try
was,
not to be, but they were just like so about the people there and like not about themselves, and it was really cool to see.
yeah, food was good too.
It was all right. I've had better.
Mm, I miss you too. Who is that? Still Jason that said I miss you?
No, that's Brooke.
Oh, Brooke, I miss you too.
Dude,
Shout out
we
to
all miss you, Brooke. Come back.
right, all the way in Dallas.
Mm-hmm. All right. Let's see here. All right, Deej. Well, it looks like we're falling on deaf ears, which is okay.
Yeah, that's fine. I enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it too. So, one last question before we time out and leave.
Hmm.
If you were looking at you when you first entered the halfway house, like I want you to really visualize it. What would you say? Taylor just said, "Wow, I spent a lot of money on that food." Man, you should have had salad. Um, but if you were looking at you when you first entered the halfway house today at this time, right? After knowing everything that you know now, after all the experiences you've had in recovery, and it's been what, 4.5, 5 years? How long?
Four and a half.
Four and a
Going
half.
on 5. Yeah.
What would you say to the you that just pulled up to that
Mm.
house miserable, comparing himself out?
Uh, a eventually your mom is gonna be able to snore again if you just stay here. And she's gonna start caring about herself and go shopping for herself if you could just stay here. That's what I would tell him.
That's huge, DJ. What a perfect answer. All right, I don't think we can get any better than that. So, thank you guys for tuning in. DJ, thank you for coming on and talking to us. And we love you. We love everybody that's on the feed. Steven, DJ, Taylor, Brooke, everybody that's on that watched us tonight. We appreciate it. We love all of you. And we're all gonna like push after this, right? And like send DJ lots of direct messages to like force him to move back sooner. Um, all right. Bye, guys.
What I do? Do I just stay on?